my family had a piano, and I think I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, um, and my dad was trying to teach my brother how to play a song on the piano. And he loves to tell this story that I was, standing nearby, and he was trying to show my brother what to do, and I told him, "Dad, you made a mistake." And he said, "Oh, really, smart Alec? You want to come up here and play it?" And so I did. And so I was like, "I think we need to get this boy some lessons." So it was something that I was naturally drawn to, since I was a little kid. But I think what was fascinating to me the older I got, and the more I was comfortable with kind of technique and being able to play music, that I wanted to write music. Wanted to use it more as an expression than just playing somebody else's music.
So it wasn't just playing an instrument, it was an expression. You were going to use it as an expression.
Exactly. And I started to write about things that I knew, or that I wanted that I had something to say about. And it started, I guess, probably in my early teens, and still going strong many decades later.
But there's one thing that I got, and that one thing means a lot. Sometimes cold, sometimes hot, it always is, it's always not. Hard to grasp yet understood, very doubtful, but in all likelihood I got life, and life is good. Whoa, I got life, I got life, and life is good.
So many things, right? So obviously, I feel that that music is an art, and I feel that painting and photography and any form of human expression, I feel like is art. I love movies, and I feel like movies are art, and I don't care what genre we're talking about. They're telling a story, right? It's an expression of something, and I'm utterly fascinated. It's the times where I feel like I'm most creative are times when I am out in nature, when I get to sort of experience not necessarily four walls in a house, but I'm outside and I can see some natural beauty. It's much more. It definitely gets the creative juices flowing. So I feel like there's an art in the patterns on a leaf, or the side of a mountain, or you name it. So over the years, I've kind of developed a method that I like to use. So if I am going to compose a song, first and foremost, I need to know what's the main thing I want to say, right? So and to come up with that is a variety of different ways. So it might just be putting myself out into nature, journaling, where I'm literally just putting whatever down onto a piece of paper. It's more stream of conscious, whatever's in my head, and get it out. It might be, something. Each day I also do this little thing called the 5-minute journal, where I talk about, I write down in the morning the things I'm grateful for and that I'm going to try to do today. And then at the end of the day, put down the things that were the amazing things, even little things like, wow, the coffee was great this morning, or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
But 3 things that I'm grateful for at the end of the day, and what would I have changed? Even just doing that makes me think about things differently. But then when I'm actually sitting down to write about that idea, I often will, I feel more comfortable writing the words first and then putting music to it. I've been doing, music for many years. And I started, trying to craft lyrics long after that. And I have reason to believe that I may have a mild dyslexia. My daughter was diagnosed with it, and all of the things that she experiences were things I could relate to. So I've never been tested, but I have this feeling that I've always been a slow reader, etc. Anyway, so I struggle more with words than I do with music. So I like to start with the words because I feel like I can craft the music around the words. And I will put sort of the main idea at the top of a page and just start writing everything that I can think of about it, almost the same way I journal. And I'll go back and circle little phrases and things that really sort of stand out to me. And then I might pull those out separately and start to see, is there a story I can tell with this? And what do I want? How can I use these little twists of phrase that I like, incorporate it into the song? And that's often how I will write the lyrics. And then I'll sit down at a piano and start figuring out, how I want to interpret that into the music.
You have a very special connection with cancer patients.
Yes.
Because you are a survivor.
That's right.
And that's actually how we met. Because what we want to do is really encourage patients to express. I think that no one more than you can help us to understand how was music a way for you to express and it really helped you cope with what you were going through. Can you just, tell us a little bit about how music and that expression was important and impactful in your journey?
Yeah, so I am a testicular cancer survivor. And when I first, was diagnosed and I started to go through treatment, of course, it was incredibly scary and it was painful and all the awful things that being a cancer patient is. And I was journaling through that experience, hoping that I could, get this stuff out of my head that was just, driving me crazy about the experience. And it was during that where one time I kind of had this little epiphany that I was going to write not just me. I already had started writing little goofy songs about, things that were going on. But they mostly were like redoing the words to a song that I knew or something like that. And then one day I had this idea that I was going to write songs about my experience, and it was going to be a musical. And I'd never done a musical before, but I was going to tell, this story was bigger than just a song. And there were many aspects to it. And I knew that I could write a lot of different songs about what I was going through. And from that point forward, it was about a year-long journey for me. I had a recurrence about halfway through after 6 months of my original diagnosis, thinking I was done after a few surgeries. And then I had to go back for another surgery and more and then chemotherapy. And all of that was entirely different experience after I started this project, this creative process. So everything that happened just became, a fire for a new way to express about it and what I could say. And it was extremely raw. It's probably the piece of art, a piece of work that I am most proud of, or very close, if not the most proud of in my entire, artistic career. And it really did. It helped me get through the experience, and I continued working on it after, I went into remission. And I've been doing it ever since, and I'm using it today to for continuing education classes for healthcare workers. So I use it to teach about the patient experience and about clinical empathy. And it's really well received because not many doctors and nurses and social workers come to a CE class and get to hear music. So
Yes.
it's been a really fun way to I've put on the musical a number of times, and it's been fantastic, and often to raise money for charities. And but now I'm actually using it for to really help people who the professionals who are helping cancer patients truly understand them better, and it's incredibly rewarding. So it was rewarding going through it, and it is to this day.
Summer of '99 was my answer to a question. What was the best time I have known? Lunch in Austin, dinner in Boston, oceanfront views, no, I couldn't lose. Life came to me so easily back then. But glory is fleeting, priority seating only lasts so long. Know where I was going, all the while knowing exactly where I went wrong. You know there's no time like now, no time like right now. No time like now, no time like right now. I always seem to be living with the past, wishing my life away. The only thing I could ever hope to have is right now.
It's interesting. I do really enjoy the journey, right? So I love when the idea first strikes me, or when I know this is what I want to say, this is what I want to write about. I get sort of that initial, that spark they always talk about, right? It's like the thing that gets me really started. And then doing that brainstorming and writing, and then when I come up with something, there'll be times where I might have a verse where I'm like, ugh, or I don't go any further because I can't. I couldn't figure out beyond this, and that ends up staying in my journal for a little while, and I'll leave it and come back to it maybe a little bit later. But that feeling of sort of coming up with like something that I'm happy with, that I'm going to use, and then and I'm lying a little bit that I completely do the music afterwards. The entire time I'm writing the words, I get ideas for music, and it's hard because then if I let something stick, then it's going to start forcing me to do something with the words that I don't want to. So, but I even love that part of the process. I don't like trying to force myself not to immediately go straight to the music. Even in my head, I need to just think about the what it is I want to say. Composing it and coming up with what I want to what's the music that's going to support this and give sort of the emotional feeling behind what I'm saying. Really support the message that I'm trying to make, and then I actually very much enjoy the recording process of music as well. I'm a nerd. I've been doing technology my whole life, so I really enjoy like having my little home studio, and I've gone back and forth on wanting to have all the cool, whiz bang stuff to do everything I can think of, to making it as simple as possible. And I do find that my favorite way to actually record is to give myself constraints. So I love to say, I am only going to use these instruments. Or I remember one time I said, I'm only going to record stuff I have in this room. I can't leave the room and get something else I'm thinking of. If I need to make a sound, I might have to grab my keys and shake them, or whatever it might be. And then because I find that if I give myself constraints, I get a lot more creative than if it's a blank page and go to it. So there's definitely a creative part about the actual almost like arrangement and recording of the song. And then it's like I heard a long time ago, the last part of the process is knowing when to quit, because I can go forever tweaking and playing and, this could be just a little bit better, or I don't like what I sang there or whatever. And knowing that I've captured something and that's it. That's, there's something human in there that I'm not getting every time I try to tweak a little further.
That perfection that we all look for, yes, it doesn't exist. Yeah, no, it is such an amazing story, because I think that it helps us to see how the arts are a way to cope with a difficult moment. They help you to, and you mention it and you express it so wonderfully, and it was taking those thoughts from your mind to something. It's like it's going out of you. And then, because the same thing happens when we create art, or when we write, it's like you need to take those feelings out of your heart and out of your mind, so you can process that in a different way and in a healthier way. Right. So I love that story, because I think that hopefully it will encourage patients to, many of them perhaps love music and perhaps have played an instrument before. And this is a time to maybe look at this perspective as, maybe I can use my story as a way to put it into music and perhaps to help others. Because I know, you also wrote a book.
Yes.
And with the musical, with the book, you're always helping. It's just like you want your journey to be inspirational. And
very good question. So I might have felt differently earlier on, but I definitely feel that it is intentional. And I think that it is about, it's a skill you develop. It's something you practice and you hone. And anybody who is really good at an instrument or at painting or at photography likely has done a lot of practice and writing and playing and painting and taking so many pictures that they've gotten to a point where they've experienced so much, they know a lot more about where they want to get to and how to get there. Practice, intentional practice, where you are, if you're struggling with something, that's the thing you do over and over and over, which isn't always fun, right? Over the course of the pandemic, one of the things that I decided I wanted to be able to do, and this didn't have to do with writing a song. I did some of that as well, and performing and some of the other things. But I decided I always liked ragtime, and I love the maple leaf rag. And so I decided I'm going to be able to play the maple leaf rag. And it's a hard song to play. Like it's ragtime is tough and to play on the piano. And and I didn't give myself like deadlines or anything. But I kept at it, and I took the first page and practiced and practiced and practiced until it came pretty naturally, and I got to the point where I had it memorized and could just play it. And I went to the second page.
Wow.
And now just to give you how long this was, I'm on the third page, and I'm getting that. It's only 3 pages long. There's lots of repeats. But anyway, I'm this close. And I feel like it was only because I sat down and said, I'm going to do that. And I want to learn it, and I want to be able to do that. Doing those things, just trying something different, changing your environment, I feel like that gets the juices flowing. So if I'm sitting and I'm struggling with trying to get something I've been doing through the pandemic a lot is if I'm stuck on something, I go for a walk. And just getting away and getting out of my element and going someplace and seeing new things and stuff. Just I forget what I was doing. I start thinking about all sorts of different things. And when I come back, I'm kind of changed, and it can, help me get that spark that I might have been struggling with before. Right. So with music, especially popular music, right? I've always heard it said, go find your top 5 favorite songs, that's been on the radio that you really like, and look how long they are. And I guarantee you almost all of them are around 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. And they'll follow a very similar, one of like maybe 3 or 4 different structures with verses and choruses and bridges or whatever it might be. That, it might be A, B, A, B, it might be A, B, A, B, C, whatever, like there are a very select few sort of rules, like, as you said, that you follow. And, if you write a really long song, people will tend to be like, oh, I've heard enough of this one already. And it doesn't have the same excitement for whatever reason as that 3-minute-ish area. So knowing that, right, knowing that that is kind of a sweet spot and that those rules are there for a reason. They do have an appeal. They do have something that draws you in, I think is important. That said, you typically have a particular time signature. Maybe it's 4 beats or 3 beats, and it's that through the whole song. It's got that groove, and that's part of what people like about it. Can dance to it and stuff. But some of my most rewarding songs have been where I broke that rule. And I remember I mentioned before that I like to twist the music to the words more than vice versa. Well, there was one song that I wrote in the musical. It's called "How Could This Be," and it's in 3/4 time most of the time. It's like a waltz. And when I got to this one spot in the lyrics, the lyric I wanted to say was way too long for me to break up and fit into a nice 3/4. So I did a 4/4 right in the middle of the chorus, and then went back to 3/4. So it's almost like this 7 beats in what everywhere else was like 3 or 6, like something of 9, and it worked. It sounds good. Nobody ever blinked that I had changed the signature there because it felt right, and it was so fun to me to know that I broke the rule there, but it worked.
Mm-hmm. But it worked, and it was very successful.
No,
that's great.
So in addition to kind of the journal or a piece of paper where I do that that sort of stream of conscious type of approach, I am a sucker for a whiteboard. I love whiteboards. So if I'm doing any kind of project, music or otherwise, if I'm writing a paper or I'm coming up with a presentation or anything that I'm trying to create, I do almost the same thing that I do with the paper, but I do it with a whiteboard, which is actually sitting right back there in my office here.
Okay.
I will just start writing, capturing the ideas I have about what it is I'm working on in no particular order. I'm just writing them down. And the beauty of a whiteboard is I can look at that and go, no, that's stupid. And I just wipe it and then write again. And I can move things around. I can erase that and I'm going to put it down here. A lot of times I'll get a different color marker and I will number things. I want to say this first. I want to say that second, etc. So to me, it's this wonderful medium to brainstorm on. And I haven't found like an electronic equivalent to that. I haven't been able to use like a little tablet on a computer that I could, draw the same way. There's something about
it doesn't feel the same.
No, it does not. It does not. I don't know what it is about the whiteboard, but I do some of my best thinking on whiteboards.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that we're trying to bring different perspective for the patients and the survivors, so they understand that a creative mind creates in many different ways. We're trying to bring all these insights from different artists, so hopefully they can get inspired. And there's something very important that we try to encourage that I know that we all deal with, and it is that inner critic that sometimes stops us from trying, from even thinking, okay, this song was not great, but the next one can be better, or this piece is not awesome, but the next one might, I will know more. So I think that that will be encouraging. But thank you so much for all your insights and all that you share with us. Thank you.
I got everything I could, 'cause I got life, and life is good. I got many for everyone, a whole lot of boring but a mess of fun. Got casual and fine, got water and a whole lot of wine. I got happy, I got sad, sometimes good and sometimes bad. For every rich there is some poor, sometimes less, sometimes more. I got friends and I got foes, easy comes and easier goes. I got more than anyone should, 'cause I got life and life is good. Ooh, I got more than anyone should, 'cause I got life and life is good.